Hi, my name is Tara Kachaturoff, and I'm the host of Michigan Entrepreneur, where we feature businesses from startup to stellar. Today, I have as my special guest Tanya Brody. Welcome to the program.
Thanks very much. It's great to be here, Tara.
And it's great to see you again. I know it's been a
Good to
while
see
since
you.
we last talked.
Yes.
Today, I'm going to talk to you about you and your business. And you're in the business of copywriting and helping others be better writers in their businesses. But before we jump into that, why don't you tell us a little bit about your background and what led you up to starting this business that you have today?
Sure. So I originally started as a musician. You can see this big, huge thing behind me. I played the harp as well as the guitar and a bunch of different instruments, and I was part of a touring Celtic band. And we traveled all over the country playing shows, and we kept going back to the same places. So I wanted to be able to stay in touch with the people who'd come to our shows. So this was, in the early days of email marketing. And I would literally have a piece of paper on our merchandise table that, just said name, email address, zip code. And I would have people fill that out, and I would attempt to read their handwriting and put it into a database and just email them. And, I'd send out a monthly email going, hey, this is where we're going to be. I would, when I was in a certain area, I would find the people in that zip code and say, here's our list of shows. And that helped us get more people coming to our shows, like to the point where we had people who came to every single show we played in an area just because they enjoyed our music, and they had the information, so they came. So that was my very first experience with email marketing. It's grown from there. And, obviously, I realize how incredibly important it is because I literally built my music business off of that because that helped us sell more CDs. It helped us book more shows. It helped us fill more venues. So email marketing is so important. And I really hope more people recognize that.
And it was a couple of years ago when I actually found out about your company through another organization that we both belong to. And I actually was like, this is an interesting business. I mean, you could help other people. Well, I'll let you explain it, but
Mhm.
you're helping other people communicate with their businesses. And I really never thought of it as a business, but it's like something everybody needs. So why don't you tell us a little bit more deep dive into what exactly you're offering in your business in terms of your service offerings? Break that down.
Sure. So I am a copywriter and email marketing consultant. So when I say copywriter, most people sort of stare at me blankly, unless they're in business, and then they're like, "Oh, you're the one who writes all the copy on my website and in my brochures, etc." I have literally had people say, "Oh, what's it like working at the patent office?" Which is pretty silly. But copyright is the legal part. Copywriting is that's the person who writes all the words, and that's what I do. A big part of what I do is writing emails. So all of those emails that you get when you sign up on someone's email list, that's what I write. And that's what I advocate that every business have, because that is your way of getting to have a personal conversation with whoever it is who is signed up on your list. Um, I like to equate the difference between, say, social media, which is another perfectly good advertising method, and email marketing as like the difference between being in a club where it's really, really loud and there's people thrashing all around you when you're trying to have a conversation. You're basically yelling, "What? What did you say?" Um, and your actual email marketing, which is where someone's invited you into their living room, and their inbox in this case is their living room, for a cup of tea and a chat. It's a much more intimate conversation. Now, what I do is I either, for my one-on-one clients, write all of that email and schedule it, et cetera, et cetera. Or I also have a group that I call my email writing accountability group. And we literally, it's a group of business owners. We sit down for 30 minutes. We write our emails. And then for another 30 minutes, I, the professional copywriter and email marketing consultant, review those emails. So you are getting literal direct feedback from a professional on what you've written, which is going to help you improve as a writer, and it's going to refine your message so that email is going to go out and be more effective.
And this is done
Then
in a group, right?
this
In
is
a
done in a
group.
group. I do it twice a week. Then we spend another 20 minutes
Mhm.
incorporating all of those edits. And
Mm.
at the end, if we have time, I give everyone's email a final review, and voila, you're done with your email for the week and you can get it out there. Now, why do I say write an email every week? Because the most important thing you can do as a business owner is build a relationship with your customers. Now, if you think about it, certainly when I was young, probably when many people watching this program were young, we all went into a business to transact business. We didn't, do any, or maybe called over the phone, but there was a human being on the other end. Now everything is digital. So we don't know. Literally, in some cases, we have no idea whether we're dealing with a chatbot or a human being when we contact a business. So this idea of having a genuine personal relationship is much harder. And when you, the business owner, the CEO, whatever you want to call yourself, take the time once a week to write a message to your customers that says, hey, this is who I am. This is what I believe in. This is why I think this is so important and why I think whatever it is I'm offering will solve your problem. That is so much more impactful than any social media ad you can put out there, any print ad, anything like that. It's really important to make that deep connection, and doing it every week means that people remember who you are and why they signed up for your email list in the first place.
And one thing I love is when I go to somebody's site and I see I can sign up to get their emails. I
Mm-hmm.
don't care for social media because I can't stop the scroll. I don't have time to look at it. And I love having email from people because you know what? If I don't want to have them in my box, I just unsubscribe. But the people who are in my box, I love that they're there. Even if I can't read everything, they're just there. They're in my community and I can read whenever I want to. And I'd love you to talk a little bit about, people keep saying, email is dead. We hear this like every other month from some big marketer, but it's not. It's like, can you speak to that? Like, I mean, because I mean, I'm sure you hear it. Like, people think that, like, some of your clients probably think, "Oh, I have to be on
Mm-hmm.
social media." You know what? I think you're always going to get more bang for your buck with an actual email. But what's your opinion on this?
My opinion is email is not dead. It's not even badly wounded. Um, Email is to this day the most profitable marketing channel out there. And we are talking about I think, 4,300% ROAS. So basically, for every dollar you put into email marketing, you can get back $43. You're not going to get that from social media. You're not going to get that from print. You're not going to get that from broadcast. It is literally the best marketing channel out there. Again, because you are literally coming into someone's inbox. And if they choose to open your email, that is an intimate conversation. And it's so much more effective. The first place most people go, first thing in the morning, even on their phones, is their inbox.
Hmm.
So they're going to get in there. They're going to go, oh, yeah, there's this deal from so and so. Oh, there's this lovely email from so and so. This is where we start. Social media is a brain drain. I mean, it drives me nuts. I will be completely honest. It is a useful channel, and I think it is excellent for driving people to your email list. But if you are only using social media, you're leaving so much money on the table. Because again, people don't necessarily remember who you are if you're not in their inbox or in their face in some way on a regular basis. And social media is so fickle. The beautiful thing about having an email list is you own that. That is your real estate. Whereas a social media channel can randomly decide to delete your account. You can get hacked and lose everything. Or, for heaven forfend, that social media channel suddenly go down while you're trying to run a promotion. All of that is out of your control. your inbox, and someone's inbox is theirs. And as you just said, if someone doesn't want you to talk to you anymore, they can just unsubscribe. Whereas otherwise, you own that. That is yours. And those people look forward to hearing from you on a regular basis.
And I'm sure those are lots of great reasons that you share with the people that you work with personally, and also the people that are in your actual membership. So, what has it been? What are some of the challenges you've had building a business like this? Um, and how do you get the word out? How do people find out about the work that you do?
So, I mean, some of the obvious challenges are people honestly think email is dead, which, as we've just discussed, it is not. But also, um, everyone thinks that they can write, but then they don't do it. So many people, I mean, and honestly, most people can write. And I encourage business owners to write their own emails. I think it's much more effective, even if it's just one a week. I'm happy to take care of all the sales emails, all of that stuff. But I think every business owner should be writing one email a week themselves so that they are communicating directly with their audience. But a lot of people get stuck at, I don't know what to write. So that is the main problem I solve for people, is
Mhm.
not is helping them figure out what to write and then helping them write it. So I have several different things out there. I have a guide that is, I call it the 30 subject lines to keep your subscribers opening and reading every email. And that's literally what it is. It's a list of 30 subject lines and writing prompts to get you started. Because for most people, that's their biggest problem. They don't know where to start. There is this fear of, I'm going to say something stupid, or I don't know how to write, which again, most people really do. We all know the basic structures of grammar, and we all know how to tell a story because our entire society is based on stories. That's what we do. We tell stories as a species. And if we can do those two things, everyone can write, but sometimes it's just the getting started. So with that guide, I help people. That obviously gets them onto my email list,
Mhm.
which is where I talk about my courses and my email writing accountability group. And I get people in that way. I do use social media. I put out social media posts pretty much every day for my business. But I do it with the intention of driving people back to my website and my email list, not to just sell stuff on social media.
Right, right. Yeah. And one thing I like that you had talked about earlier was that, and I know we'll talk about this in a minute, but I want to bring it up, is that you have the business owner write their emails. Um, and I think there's a lot to that versus like giving it to your assistant to write or somebody else. I think it really makes a difference. You can tell like when somebody's writing their own emails. It's just a different sense. And I think it keeps your, finger on the pulse of what's going on in your business too when you have that kind of conversation. Can you talk a little bit about that?
So, the reason I advocate for the business owner or the CEO or whatever you
Mhm.
call yourself to write the emails is you're the one who knows what's going on. You're the one who knows where the business is going, and you're the one who believes in the business to begin with. No matter how hard you try, you are never going to find anyone who believes in your business as much as you do because you're the one who started it. You're the one who knows why you started it. And if the company is speaking in your voice is the one people want to hear. I mean, let's just be honest. I've worked for so many companies where, and as a copywriter, where I have had to write as the business owner. And a lot of times I will just go say, here, hand the or email the copy to someone and say, is this what you want? And they'll go through and make a bunch of edits. It's like, I am never going to get your voice 100% right because I don't live in your brain and you don't want me there. It would probably be scary for both of us. But you really do a much better job when you are so dedicated to what it is that you're doing, that you're the one who knows how you serve people and why you serve those people. And you're the one with that drive to do it. And that's just going to come across so much better when you write it as opposed to if I write it.
And as you're working with your clients and even in the membership that you have, um, you're always bringing in new information and techniques and approaches because things change in the world. How do you keep up on all of this yourself? Because you have to stay relevant in what you're teaching and guiding, and also the work you do, the one-on-one work you do for personal clients. But how do you keep up with everything? And then we're going to take a little dive into the AI part of it and talk about that.
Okay, so to be honest, I mean, I go to conferences just like everybody else.
Mhm.
I, read other people's Substacks and articles and, follow people on LinkedIn. I do the same thing everyone else to stay relevant in my industry as everyone else does. And yes, there's an industry of us. We are everywhere. But we have our own magazines, just like everybody else. We have our own organizations. But the other thing that I do is I follow a lot of the tech folks
Mhm.
and I follow a lot of the email service providers to see what they're doing because they're going to be the ones that introduce some of the new technology that I need to be involved in. Or
I
they're
see.
going to be the ones with opinions on the new technology that I need to be involved in. So that's a big thing is just, you're right. Keeping up with all of the latest stuff is hard. Even, being in the technology stack that I use, I have to pay attention to whatever that is. So there's a big learning curve in any industry, but in this one in particular, because tech moves so fast.
Yeah, and it's all about communication, which is words, which is that's your business. You're in the word business.
Hmm.
Um, Now, speaking of AI and technology and all of that, nowadays people think like, oh, I can just teach AI my style. Okay, I've tried that. It doesn't really work that well. But um, talk a little bit about this. I mean, people think like AI is some big band-aid easy button for whatever, like a way to get rid of all their employees, whatever it is that they're thinking. What is going on with the world of AI and how is that influencing what you're teaching or your approach or anything like that? Are you encouraging that, its use? Are you discouraging its use? What is your take on it and how is it affecting the work that you do and how you're helping people in your membership?
So I will be completely honest. I use AI as a tool. It's great for research. It's great for brainstorming. It's great for even a messy first draft if you are totally stuck. It's great for outlining. Personally, I don't let it write anything. I do the writing because that's the type of person I am. It's actually faster for
Yeah.
me to write something than it is for me to hand it to AI, look it over, and then fix everything. Because even now, even as sophisticated as AI is getting, I still look at it and I go, that looks like an 11th grade essay. I can still pick out anything AI writes and I have to change it because it doesn't sound like me. Because again, it's not in my brain, and that's still a good thing. Um, I I do encourage people in my group to use AI, and many of them do. It's really good for getting started. Like I said, that messy first draft, if you just put the idea into AI, it's going to give you stuff. But it's we I then when we go through it in a review session, I'm like, is this part true or did AI hallucinate that for you? And they're like, oh yeah, I don't actually do that. It's like, okay, I mean, it's a great idea, don't get me wrong, but if that's not what you're actually doing, we should take that out. And also, it never sounds like the person. So one of the things I always say is make it sound like you, like literally speak it out. And it's like, oh, I wouldn't say that. So, rephrase things so it sounds like it's coming from your voice. It may be the right idea, but it's not how you would say it, which means people are going to look at this and go, I don't think that's quite Tara. I mean, I know Tara, and that's not what she sounds like. The other big thing that I feel like AI always misses is what I refer to as the question that every single consumer asks, which is what's in it for me? Tell me why I should care. Why should I
Yeah.
keep reading this email? Why should I click through and buy whatever the thing is? Why should I read the blog post, listen to the podcast, watch the television show? Um, and that is, you have to answer that question. You have to show them the benefit, what they're going to get, how this is going to change their life in some huge or small way. And if you can't do that, there's no point in writing. in terms of persuasive copywriting. And more importantly, that's what gets people to take action. That's what gets people to do whatever it is you want them to do. And I just find that AI isn't as good at that as human beings are, because A, we understand the messy motivations in our head, and B, we are so dedicated to whatever it is we're doing, whatever it is we're writing about, that we know how to say it better than AI ever could. I have yet, and I am a professional writer who understands the what's in it for me question. I cannot get AI to do as good a job at answering that question as I can. I just can't.
Makes a lot of sense. So, some of the things you've talked about so far is the business owner writing the emails themselves for that authenticity because they know all the backstory and all of that, because that does come out. Using AI as a tool rather than it, outsourcing it to them to do or it to do. What are a couple other tips? Let's talk about 3 or 4 other tips that you can give business owners to write better emails that will connect to the heart of their reader.
Okay. Well, I mean, that what's in it for me part is huge. That is, probably the one thing I tell everyone in my group. It's like, all right, tell me what's in it for me. If I see it missing, it's like, all right, I need this. Tell me
Even if
why.
it's an
And
informational email,
yeah,
okay, so whether they're selling something in the email or it's just informational or it's like what I did in the weekend,
right.
relate
So
it back.
here's why. Um, One of my favorite copywriters, a fellow named Clayton Makepeace, very famous copywriter in our world, would say the first line of any sales piece, that job is to get them to read the next line. So literally what you are doing is you are persuading people to keep reading, even if it's an informational email, even if you're not linking to anything, you need people to keep reading. People used to have a decent attention span. Thanks to social media and the internet, we now all have the attention span of a Q-tip. So, you actually need to give people a reason to keep reading. So, stories are really powerful, which is why we tell them. So, telling your story of what you did this weekend, whatever that may be, um, is compelling, and we want to know what happens next. So, that is a simple way of telling me what's in it for me. Tell me the story, as an example. But I think the other thing that is most important is to remember that we as business owners are in business to serve as well as to sell. And people feel that. You can always tell those emails where someone's like, buy my stuff, buy my stuff, buy my stuff. And those companies, I mean, I unsubscribe from their emails. They bore me. They don't give me a reason to keep reading. Whereas the ones that engage with me, the ones that make me feel like a person and a valued member of a community, I want to be on that list. I want to buy from that company. I want to support that business. So really think about, what is it that you are in the world to do? Why are you helping people? Share that. That is compelling. That is something people want to know. Not just buy my widget, but my widget. I came up with this widget because, I saw this problem and you have this problem. And here's how this widget is going to help you solve this problem. That makes me feel like you care about me and my problem. And that's, I realize a lot of this is very mental, but it's really important. I mean, writing is a mental game. We are communicating. Communicating is, the art of explaining your side of a story and why it should matter to someone else. And I think that that's a really big tip. And then also think about, what it is that you bring to the world at large, not just your widget, how you help people, but when your people have actually got their problem solved, what can they do? How can they help themselves, their family, the world, that type of thing? And then some other really simple tips. My favorite way to get to that benefit is to ask the question, so what? You know, um, this is my iPhone. It helps me stay in communication. So what? Okay. So it lets me, uh, talk to my family, which is very important to me. Okay, great. So what? Well, that means that by staying in touch with my family, I feel more included in the world and I am able to help support other people. So just ask those cascading questions of so what, and that is the best way to get to whatever your benefit is for when you're stuck. And also, in terms of being stuck, there's nothing worse than staring at a blank page. And I say this from personal years, over 15 years of personal experience. So if you're stuck, go get help. And if that means you go and you talk to someone in your office or your spouse or your children, and you say, I need you to ask me a question about blah, and whatever question comes to mind, that is something that someone else is going to be interested in. So just start there. In fact, that is my favorite tip for just getting started writing emails is write down the top 5 questions someone asks you about your product or service. Because you know those. You've got those answers. You
Right.
can probably say them in your sleep. And if you just write those down, that's a great email. And then keep answering questions like that. That's a great way to start.
When you, these are amazing tips. I hope everybody's writing them down so that they can write better emails. It's really important and well said. I love how you're breaking it all down. Um, when you're working with folks in your groups and such, what do you think is the most pervasive um, problem or common mistake that they're making? What's the most pervasive one that you've seen?
So I think that the biggest, I mean, in terms of the actual writing,
Mhm.
I think that the biggest issue is that people, I mean, they get stuck on what to say. What I say is just take this 30 minutes and write. I don't care what comes out. We'll fix it. Get it on the page. You've got to start somewhere. And then frequently, we go through, it's like, okay, did you mean to say this? All right, how do we rephrase this? And that's the beauty of being in a group like mine is you're getting feedback and also the other people in the group are looking at it and going, that
Right.
one doesn't make sense to me. But I think the other mistake that people make is not answering that what's in it for me question. That is such a big one. And then I'd say the third most common mistake is not running it through a spell checker. It's such a silly little thing, but I mean, and obviously, I am an outlier. I catch every single mistake because it's literally my job. It's an occupational hazard. But people get hung up on the way things read. And so, what I always say to someone is, if read your email out loud, because you're going to find all those places when you speak it that you're like, oh, that sounds weird, or that's the wrong there, or, you know, whatever it is, it's going to make you more aware of how the email flows. And it's just going to help you write better.
Well said. Well said. I really want to thank you so much for sharing all this information about your business, why you started it, your early beginnings, and also all these great tips about what people can do to make more effective their communication with their constituency. All great information. And my last question to you, Tanya, is what is your advice to entrepreneurs?
Uh, Again, to remember that we are in business to serve, to put that first, and that you are building a community of people. You're not going to have every single eyeball in the world on you, nor do you want them, because they don't all have the problem that you solve. Find the people who need what it is you are offering and talk to them because they're going to be the most receptive. And of course, email marketing is a great way to do that. And then really love on those people, serve those people, help them solve their problem. And they're going to become not only your customers, but your biggest evangelists.
All right. Well said. Thank you so much, Tanya Brody, for being a guest on today's program.
Thank you for having me, Tara. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. If you'd like more information about our program, please visit us at MichiganEntrepreneur.tv.com. Please join me again in the future when I interview another enterprising entrepreneur. Until then, wishing you the best of business.